lovely people. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are listening to me. I'm d.zayed, and this is yet another episode of my live LinkedIn. Uh, can you please just give me a thumbs up if the sound is okay? Fantastic. Thank you, Abdullah, Atif, Rasha. Fantastic. I see regular faces here. Let me just recap what I have been doing. So these live LinkedIn started in April. They are, as you see, live. They are free. They're in English. The topics are more or less what I see are urgent matters in the practices currently on brand. This is not Egypt specific or region specific. This is global. I interact with a lot of people, whether on personal basis, whether my previous life in corporate, as you know, I was in strategy and consumer and shopper insights in Mondelez International for many, many years. And I do have my consultancy for the last 8 years forward. I do consultancy, obviously on brand strategy, but I also do a lot of talks, and I see some familiar faces here who have attended my workshops, so lovely good morning to you. And I do have my YouTube channel, so previous sessions are there. We're actually now in season 2, and this is episode 6. Last week we spoke about brand strategy. I don't know if you've attended it or not, but I always see that the value input here is really getting your questions, your builds, sort of success stories or frustrations, and we try to sort it out together. Hopefully, I have an input that would help you, whether on your brand or maybe even on a career level. So last time we spoke about basically what is a brand strategy and that it is a core part of your business. I always call brand strategy is the business strategy for a lot of reasons, and you can check out the previous session. I also spoke about the phenomenal mistake and confusion, and this is also a global thing between branding, marketing. I don't want to stop at that. Okay, to me, there is a thinking process, step by step, in putting together a strategy. And this goes across the board, whether you are B2B, B2C, any sector, it doesn't really matter. It's the way you think and approach your business. Yeah. Then tactical comes in. All of these lovely marketing people, teams, agencies, creative, route to market, whatever it is, okay, they administer that strategy. Yeah, strategy is once done and it's locked. Having said that, at the end of the session, I'll give you an example, or maybe in the middle, I'm not really sure. I mean, I usually do these things because they're, chatty, flowing. I just write in front of me just a few bullet points. This is what I want to talk about. But actually, it goes as it's, it flows. Yeah, it's a chat. It's not a formal session per se. So yeah, I would give you an example of Tiffany. So let's delve into the components. Now, the session is called a drill down on components, but honestly speaking, this is so big. And if I sit here and tell you that you would know it all after this hour, then this is not Brad's strategy. This would be BS. And you know me too well. I mean, I'm just gonna give it to you straight ahead. So I will give you the main buckets that you would need to look into, whether you as a company doing your own strategy or you are sourcing it out from a consultant or an agency or whatever. But these things need to be there. For my own work, when a client reaches out and wants to do a strategy, there are two tracks, and they're very clear in my head. This is around who the brand is, the differentiator, the space, the positioning, whatever you want to call it. That is one track, including, of course, the persona and the tonality, competitive, context and whatever. That is one track. The other track is the portfolio, which often get missed out from most consultants' work I have seen in the past, that this is about growing your brand, or if it's new, where do you want to grow? And you could be in a great shape, but you want to grow to the next level. Where are you growing? Yeah. So portfolio management, whether it's a current brand or a future brand, is extremely important. Yeah. So, and this can be reflected in the brand architecture. Yeah, you might have a sub brand that is current, or you might need to create a sub brand. So, what would be the strategy for it? Would you have an umbrella one or a separate one? What kind of implications on both the brand stretchability, and of course later on when you're going to roll out, there is a cost to that. Route to market is one of the things that always gets missed out. I'm not really sure why, but it is an investment. Let's say you, in the strategy phase, you decide, no, you're going to hire your own fleet. Okay, that is definitely a cost. Yeah. Versus, no, I'm going to handshake with a few distributors and they're going to do the job for me. But I need, of course, to put some rules, guidelines, make sure that they understand what we are about. So that is all part of your strategy. A big part of it is really the offset. It's why are you in business? What is your vision? I want to share with you two ones. I'm gonna read it for you. Just give me a second to pull it on. So a vision is, one of those statements that you put in the document, and it has to be there. Why? Because it is the guide for the owners, the partners, stakeholders, the CEO, whoever on top management, and then it's cascaded, of course, because that is the vision of the company. Be that company the same brand name, okay, so it's corporate, the same as the consumer, whatever. So I'm going to give you two examples. I'm going to read them, just listen to me, okay? And then I'm going to make a comment and you'll understand what a vision is, and we'll take it from there. So first one is Pfizer. We all know Pfizer. So this is what they've written. We're in relentless pursuit of breakthroughs that change patients' lives. We innovate every day to make the world a healthier place. Now, when you hear this, to me, honestly, COVID comes to mind because this is probably the most recent one, and they've done a lot of work on the vaccine. So if you think about this as an outsider and I read this, okay, it makes sense. It's on the claim. The other example I'm going to tell you is AUC, the American University in Cairo. So they have written, our vision is to be a world-class university internationally recognized for its leadership, excellence in teaching, research, creative expression, and service. So, in comparison, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, maybe you can make a comment later, to me this is more of inward vision rather than external vision. And this is absolutely fine, by the way. But my personal view on this, I would go for the Pfizer track, and of course they've delivered on it. Now for the AUC, and I don't want to make any critique here, because I don't know inside out. I mean, I'm simply an outsider, but I think they put in a lot of claims, whether they deliver on it or not. There are some lingo here that I don't understand, like creative expression. Why would you have creative expression in the vision of a company or an institution? I think leadership and world class are too high and a bit egoistic. I have found actually, whether Egypt or the Middle East region in general, the visions or statements or positioning, or maybe even at the level of ads, there's a lot of these, we're the best. Actually, you need to leave that judgment to your audience, whether it's you're a B2B or you're a B2C. I mean, I'm a service here. Okay, I'm a consultant. I cannot go out and start this talk, for example, and say, I'm the best. No, I'm not. I'm very good. Yeah, I'm not belittling my capabilities. But at the same time, it's up to clients, it's up to people who attend my workshops, or when we deliver after so many years, it will come back to me and I hear that, somebody was praising my work or whatever. This is the value of my work, but I'm not going to go out there and I'm saying I'm the best. That really is stupid. Yeah. So those are two examples of visions, and I think a vision cascades from it a lot of the work that you need to do later on your brand strategy. Because think about it, it is interlocked. Think about Nike, for example. We all know about just do it. But there's a lot of thinking that went behind coming up with those three words. And it's because it's so powerful and so spot on, there are so many campaigns that can easily be built on it. I don't know if you've seen my video a couple of months back. I was just having a walk in the mall, and I saw Nike, and beside it was Adidas. And I always looked at that statement, there is no finish line. And it's very inspiring because I do understand what Nike is about. And it does speak to me as a customer, not just because I'm into that business. Because the whole idea is I am empowering you to be a sports person. You're not going to be, the next big thing, okay, Serena Williams, okay, but you have a chance as a normal person to exercise because you are not competing with anybody. It's for you. It's about your health, whether physically or mentally or emotionally. That's what sports do to you. So there is no finish line. That is very inspiring. And my video was about, when did brands stop to be inspiring? All that inspiration comes from that thinking that you have put in your strategy. Yeah. And then all your communication after that is spot on. It speaks to the customer, which takes us to the customer. You understand your target. Don't make assumptions about them, particularly now, by the way, because things are changing so fast. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, yeah, and across countries, categories, it's very tricky to understand behavior. Social science have given us a lot of learning, and in the last 15 years, neuromarketing have given us a lot of learning as well. And let me tell you something, that people say something and do something else. So read a lot, observe a lot, gather data. Don't just, ask your friends, because customers out there are not the same. I see a lot of advertising and I feel like, okay, these are like, 3, 4 co-workers in an office. They look like each other, they are buddies, and they have made choices about the kind of communication that they have put out there that looks like them, which is not true. And okay, a big part of it comes from the advice they get from their advertising agencies. Even a little word would make a difference. Again, I have put in a lot of, feedback on that stuff, whether a word, whether a visual, that, blows the mind away of the customer. It's not talking to me. The best, I tell you this, the best kind of communication is when somebody, or not somebody, the actual target, listens to this or views that board or reads that statement about you and say, oh my God, this brand, it really understand what I'm about. It understand the pain point. And this is how you build and construct your positioning and understanding the customer. What is his, her pain point? And what are the benefits that you as a brand can deliver as the product and service level, okay, and why they should believe you. This is a basic, brand positioning concept. If you have never written one, then I suggest you understand how that construct is. It's an insight, benefit, and reason to believe. And then there is another piece of work that is called the brand ladder. So why am I in the business? What are all the functional benefits I'm going to give the customer, and then it would ladder into an emotional gratification. And the end game for me as a brand is what? There's so many lovely examples on brand ladders. I think one of the sessions was what, 3, 4 weeks back. It was about Lego and changing and expanding the portfolio with new customers. And it worked because they had a solid brand ladder. Now, the brand ladder is not a communication brief. It is, again, something like the vision. It is in your document, all right? But it has to be there because it's always the guideline. Yeah, it's always there because strategy should be solid. It's not about I have a new CEO or CMO or marketing director who comes in and say, oh, okay, let's do X. We were planning Y. Now I feel like we should do X. Even in the visual, like, you're pink. No, I don't like pink. Let's do purple. It doesn't work this way. And unfortunately, it does happen. And again, I'm telling you, this is global phenomena. I mean, it's really very frustrating from somebody. I mean, you can call me old school. I don't mind. I'm not offended. But this is what it is. It's solid. It's thinking. It does not change. Now, the activation definitely changes. I'm educating myself about Web3, AI, all of that stuff because I need also to understand new ways of reaching out to consumers and targets, even though I'm not doing it hands-on as such. But, I might have that as a recommendation in the strategy activation, for example. You upgrade your skills as you go. Things are different. And guess what? So does consumers. The touch points, the mediums, the kind of social media challenges that we have, and clutter. Yeah, I mean, again, I had a couple of sessions on digital media because the question that came from one of my audience, can we build a brand solely on digital? Okay. And there's a lot of issues there, but it is possible and there is a way. I mean, if you have a strategy, you exactly know who you are, who you're targeting, and it builds up from down there, by the way, from the product. I mean, I'm not in any way saying that product and service should not be there. No, of course, it is the beginning point. You should know what you're selling. And it's really, honestly, it's really one of the things that pisses me off, specifically in Egypt. There are people who work on categories, for God's sake, they do not understand their product. I mean, I see it in even terminologies that they use. I see it in the way they describe the product. And yes, it is important for you to understand the service and the product to get out of it the benefit. And then that benefit is rewarded and rewarded in a way that speaks to your consumer. And that consumer could be a text, it's a visual, it's a sound, any of those sensorial cues. All right? So I would always advocate that apart from understanding your product and service, when you diagnose, okay, you need to choose, and yes, I'm repeating that, choose your differentiator. I mean, let's be frank here. How many out of the box wow products and services are going to come up? There are very, very little differentiation. Yeah? But it is about how you're going to position yourself, how you're going to speak, okay? And again, I go back to me. Yeah, there's a lot of, strategy consultants out there, but it's about me. It's my choice how I'm going to position myself. What is the differentiator? And I deliver on it. All right? This is not just talk, talk, talk. As they say, talk is cheap. And again, because I've been doing this for so long, I am seeing the trend of changing business narrative today around bigger, better, It's no longer about bigger, better. It's about focus. You know, everything is in abundance now. It's very competitive and it's very cluttered across the board. And it's up to you to make that difference. The more you understand about your product, service, competition, and definitely customers, you would be a success. So bigger, better, and scaling maybe for multinationals, but let's face it, the bulk is really small companies and small brands. Focus, focus, focus. I would always advocate for that today. And there's so many examples of companies, especially, I mean, in e-commerce, for example, who've gone operationally wild, and they forgot the very simple thing as, who am I targeting? Am I even getting any cash flow? What are my revenues like? I mean, we all have tons and tons of examples, and we're seeing it. And by the way, it is absolutely fine to make a mistake and then go backwards. But when you know, repeat that, put the basic rules of business in your mind. And when I say basic, of course, you start with the thinking, and then what is my roll out plan? One of the other things that you need to think about is that you never sell to everybody. And when I say that, everybody can buy you, but when you communicate, you're communicated to a cohort, a segment. I mean, this word segmentation, I don't know, it's now old-fashioned or something. Why are not people doing customer segmentation? In behavior, if you really understand what you're talking about, it is just mind-blowing how people are really different. And again, if you attended any of my neuromarketing workshops or listened to my videos, you would know it is a fact that we as human beings, we purchase emotionally, not rationally. The very first trigger. Nobody would tell you this because nobody would actually admit that, you know, I was buying this TV and it was an emotional decision. I gotta tell you, it's because I work in that business. I have actually gone through this exercise and asked myself, this was like 2 years back, I just wanted to buy a monitor. I went to Carrefour and the sales guy kept pushing. I actually was not really sure what I wanted. I just knew the size and I had a certain budget, and the guy kept pushing for a certain brand. So of course, because I work in retail, I understand that he has a certain incentive and target, blah 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 blah, so he's pushing this on me. And the way he was pushing, even though it could be a fantastic brand, but it just turned me off. Yeah, if somebody asked me at this point, why didn't you buy it, I'll probably say because the price is not right. I will always find a logical, you know, way of answering because I don't want to look stupid. But the real reason is, yes, the salesperson pissed me off. Can you imagine that this happens all through, except in stuff that is what we call in system one, which is the automated one. I always get that as a shopper. I always get that brand. It always delivered, the price is right, it's there on the shelf, I'm gonna grab it and put it there. All that journey happens in like 8 seconds, and it's automated in the brain. If you can reach that level, I think you'll be a winner forever. Another thing is innovation. Now, it's like one of those words. Again, I did a lot of sessions on innovation, and I always stop at what is the definition of innovation. So I'm not going to go in that in details. I just want to tell you that innovation is not for every company. It takes a lot of rigor process, and it takes a company that is actually elevated to that level. And when I say that, it has that level of what I call information and knowledge sharing. You know, they do understand and appreciate knowledge. Because innovation does not, you don't wake up one morning and, hey, I have this idea. And there's a lot of co-creation. There's a lot of managing expectations. There's also no right or wrong in innovation. Actually, most of my workshops, and I've done this like across regions, different nationalities, functions, and everything. When I facilitate an innovation workshop, I always start by saying, innovation is tricky because it's like, you're comfortably lost. You have all of this information from the market, and from yourself, and passion, and aspiration and ambition and all of that, but also you're confused because you are crafting something for the future. And this is probably the first part, that is ideation session. It's the toughest one until you craft concepts. Yeah. um, so I want to jump into that Tiffany example. I just want to read it to you. Now, I mean, there's so much that I can tell you, the drill down, but I will not sort of get into that, only because, I mean, it's a lifetime thing. I mean, people take courses for months to actually understand all of these components. But I hope for now you understand the key components that is a must-have, and probably, the drawbacks and the common mistakes that happen. I'll read to you, Tiffany, and the reason I'm picking that up, because last year they did a campaign in the UK about what was the strapline? This is not your mother's Tiffany. Uh, I think it was very bold. I really liked it. It's controversial because some people hated it. I think it was bold, and it was about time that a luxury brand like Tiffany, and they want to grow. Yes, everybody justified to grow, whether a business or you as an individual and practitioner in this industry. Yeah, we all want to grow in different ways, and that's absolutely fine. But how? Um, so I'll just read like some stuff one after the other. You link the dots, and you will know that yes, Stephanie had a vision of where to grow, because this campaign did not come out of the blue. If Stephanie was all the time positioned to, 40 plus women with expensive stuff, but guess what? There is Gen Z who have the same behavior, and Gen Z are influenced, and they have the same aspiration for that same brand. And guess what? Who holds the credit card? But they had an ever-going problem or image that they're only for older. So with that campaign, they are shifting or maybe stretching the brand to a younger that still can afford, but also have that in need, I would say, or aspiration to have a Tiffany. And on the side, the portfolio has changed. So again, this comes back to what I was saying earlier, that when you build a strategy, this is not about how the image gonna shift, what communication you're gonna put. No, it's also about the portfolio, because they have put in a range of new fashion, accessories, and all of that that just speaks to Gen Z. So listen to this stuff. So at Tiffany, we believe inclusiveness should never be a luxury. Tiffany's motto was, beautiful design makes a beautiful life. Brand's personality is pure sophistication. The word Tiffany actually means revelation of God, and it's of Greek origin. Campaigns, Tiffany has always put in true expressive realness. This is Tiffany, a celebration of individuality, joy, and optimism. So when you hear that, does that mean that this is about 40 plus women? No, it's not. And this is how you think and approach when you are targeting, and therefore communicating, and therefore you're delivering via a portfolio, the pricing, the route to market, the customer experience. As we always say, brand is a total experience, not just advertising.